one business takes on many challenges. But when they're beyond what one can solve, it'll take more. Each one pitching in to form seamlessly linked solutions. And with a partner to innovate and collaborate, we can create better experiences than we ever could alone, to become more valued than we'd ever be on our own. Because there's nothing greater than working as one to make an impact in people's lives. Redefine our greatness. Globe Business.
Baguio City, a chartered city since September 1, 1909, famously known as the summer capital of the Philippines, has always been a welcoming destination for its natural beauty and grandeur. Others prefer to call her the City of Pines, due to the abundance of tropical pine forests that used to cover much of the city. Aside from its natural charm as it is enhanced by the cool climate, Baguio City is also known for its historical significance as the remains of American occupation is evident all over. The end of the Second World War in the South Pacific happened too in Baguio City with the signing of formal surrender of Japanese forces before the Americans. Needless to say, there are countless stories about this beautiful city to include in this presentation. In terms of its economic significance in the region, Baguio City has been the center of business, trade, commerce since the earliest part of the 20th century. The city has been the main point of entry goods and services from all over the country to the different parts of the region. With the opening of Baguio Central School in 1899 as first public elementary school in the Philippines and the establishment of Baguio Teachers Camp in 1908 by the American Thomasites, Baguio City has flourished to become the premier education center of the North, catering to the people of the Cordilleras, Region 1, 2, and 3, and even from metropolitan Manila. Hand in hand with education, tourism has equally brought people to this beautiful city, with pioneering designs of renowned American architect Burnham as the center of attraction and spiced by other parks in strategic locations all over. These places of historical and cultural significance have lured people in. Tourism has been an inherent driving force of the city's economy and its unique culture. However, with the passage of time, the realities of it being cosmopolitan is evident. Its charm and position as an emerging first-class, highly urbanized city is under threat, brought about by surging population, environmental concerns, traffic congestion, land use issues, garbage and pollution, among others. The Americans who architected the City of Pines designed her to cater to only 25,000 residents. However, the reality after more than 100 years is that there are now 366,358 residents, and mind you, we are still counting. The city of Baguio has been well known for the quality of its graduates. However, with the data for the past few years prompted us to make education as one of our main agenda. And more importantly, the performance of our learners in the major subject areas has been below national standards. The report of DOLE is also alarming in the sense that our own college graduates are not qualified to take job offerings of the industries due to mismatching. The big question is, have we done enough? Definitely not. Guided by our newly inspired vision, mission, and core values as we march forward to transformation, we implore on the mighty help from above to accomplish our aspirations. To instill behavioral change on the people of Baguio to be more concerned with their environment and other needs of the city, to change the public mindset of employees in the city government and the people of Baguio towards public service for them to be more active in our efforts to combat corruption, mediocrity, and inefficiency. However, in order to do all these, we need the support and cooperation of the officials and employees first and foremost, the key stakeholders of the city, and the ever-vibrant people of Baguio. We need all to contribute. Now, the transformation begins.
AIM has started its legacy as a pioneer business school in Asia. It was founded in 1968 by Harvard Business School Advisory Group, academicians, and prominent business leaders. As the first school in Southeast Asia to receive the AACHB accreditation in 2004, AIM has set the standards for the new generation of leaders, managers, entrepreneurs, and innovators who are ready to make an impact on society. Our graduates are leaders who inspire and transform their industries. Becoming a student of AIM is the first step to creating a legacy as a leader. The Institute carries on its legacy through its 4 esteemed schools, each with its own focus. AIM has established 4 schools to cater to the ever-changing needs of the Asian market.
The newest school under AIM, the Aboitiz School of Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship, has positioned itself as the Asian hub for future-ready leaders. We aim to push the boundaries of the technology economy in Asia. Our programs develop and create a community of innovators, data scientists, technologists, and entrepreneurs who thrive in uncertainty and can confidently navigate the challenges of rapidly evolving industries.
For almost 55 years, AIM has been offering graduate programs designed for professionals who seek to enhance their craft and leadership skills. In 2023, the Institute will start its first undergraduate program geared towards setting the path for young, resolute, business-minded, and tech-savvy students on their way to becoming trailblazers. By covering the management skills and knowledge needed from the start to finish, AIM's undergraduate and graduate programs are taught in an environment most conducive to learning to shape the leaders of tomorrow. An engaging learning environment can make all the difference in students' performance and motivation. That's why AIM provides a modern and immersive setting to help future business leaders achieve their full potential. By continuously transforming our campus, we keep up with the evolving industries and use modern technologies to teach our students. The AIM Conference Center, the case rooms, and the Aboitiz Tech Space are equipped with multiple large LED screens for deeply engaging teaching and learning modality. Each space is also furnished with the latest technology to make the communication between the professors and students truly interactive. Our campus also has meeting rooms where students can convene, share ideas, and form lifelong partnerships with one another. AIM's multinational population also approximates a global atmosphere on campus. Our community engages in an open exchange of ideas and experience with the people from various cultures and industries. This type of learning environment shapes well-rounded and globally competent professionals. Our professors hail from different corners of the world. With their diverse backgrounds, they offer students a broad outlook and knowledge. The Institute also provides international academic networks and programs to open a world of opportunities and connections for our future leaders and managers. By nurturing students in an engaging and multicultural learning environment, they are prepared to create their own legacy. AIM continues to raise the standards of leadership. Through our rigorous programs, immersive learning environment, and world-class professors, our graduates are poised to lead, inspire, and transform industries. As a living proof of Institute excellent education, our alumni carry on AIM's legacy through their own success stories.
Technical expertise won't work without actionable insights. More than handling and analyzing big data, I know I'm creating value for businesses and for our society.
Good afternoon, everyone. The event will start in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, let's hear from Ray Antinero, AIM Safety Officer, for a few announcements.
Thank you, Patrick. So good afternoon, everyone. So before we start with your program, we'll have a brief safety orientation. So just to ensure that everyone will know what to do in case an emergency happens while we are here inside AIM. My name is Ray Antinero. I'm the Health and Safety Officer of AIM. Next, please. Next, please. Next slide. Sorry. Well, in case of fire, please don't panic. AIM is a fire safety code compliant. We have fire suppression systems and we have equipments. We also have trained firefighting teams ready to respond in case of any fire emergency. Next, please. So in case of, during evacuation, please don't use the elevators. So use the stairs. And if we are the last person to leave this room, please close the door to isolate fire and proceed to our evacuation area. Next, please. Now, in case of earthquake, please take up. Based on the last, based on 2023 structural integrity test of this building, our facility can withstand an approximate intensity 7 earthquake. Of course, it will depend on how the ground will shake, but this building will hold, or at least it will give us enough time to evacuate the building safely. Next, please. Now, during earthquake, if possible, open the door for exit. If not, execute, drop, cover, and hold. So drop under study desk or table, cover yourself, and hold on to it. Be alert, keep your eyes open, and watch out for falling objects. Okay? So once the shaking stops, exit this room and follow our evacuation plan. So this is our evacuation plan. Next, please. So this is the third floor, Aboitiz tech space. So next, please. So from here, we have 3 exit stairs, but we'll be using just the 2 nearest to this room. Okay. So during evacuation, just follow this direction and until we reach the ground level. Next, please. Now, if you're coming out from this side, so our evacuation area is in front of the main building. Next, please. But if you're coming out from the other side, our evacuation area will be at the parking area along Gamboa Street. Okay. So once we are out of the building, please do not go back. Wait for our instruction if it is safe to return or not. And please stay with your group for accounting purposes. If you are hurt, injured, or in need of medical attention, there will be first aid team or medical personnel at the evacuation area ready to assist you. If you have any other concern, you may approach any of the security personnel and we will help you. Okay? Maraming salamat po and magandang hapon.
Thank you, Ray. And in addition to those of you who are here at the Aboitiz Tech Space and are logged in on Zoom, may we please remind you to keep your Zoom in mute mode so we will avoid the feedback. Thank you very much. And now, may I invite everyone to please stand for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisihin, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig, luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit
Thank you. Please be seated. And now, to get us all started, may I call on Mr. Guillermo Bill Luz, Chairman of Liveable Cities Philippines, for his opening message.
Thank you, Patrick. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. Thank you and good afternoon. We're coming to you live from the Aboitiz Tech Space here at the Asian Institute of Management in Makati. And welcome to our Livable Cities Lab on Data Analytics and Artificial Intelligence for Intelligent Cities, presented together with the League of Cities of the Philippines and Globe Telecom in cooperation with the Asian Institute of Management. So good afternoon to Mayor Mike Rama, to our speakers, to all the guests, and to our Zoom participants to this session. This is our second hybrid session of the year, but we've run, must be close to 40 by now, sessions, most of them Zoom sessions over the last 3 years. We believe data analytics and artificial intelligence will transform the way we live and work. These technologies will open up new possibilities for cities, providing a framework for urban planning and city management to improve how cities run their operations to meet citizens' needs. By collecting and analyzing data from various sources, we can gain valuable insights into citizen behavior, infrastructure usage patterns, and urban trends. With this information, we can optimize resources, improve decision-making, and improve city services. This will ultimately lead to more competitive, sustainable, and livable cities. So the question is, how can we harness the power of data analytics and AI for intelligent cities? Today, we've assembled a great panel of speakers and experts to share their knowledge and insights on how data analytics and AI can help build intelligence to their systems and contribute to the development of cities. I'll run through our speakers just quickly, but give a more proper introduction later on. But our panel today is going to consist of Dr. Chris Monterola of the Asian Institute of Management and the Aboitiz Chair in Data Science. We also will have Major Benjamin Magalong of Baguio City, who will be represented by architect Donna Tabangin, the city's Planning and Sustainability Officer. Mayor Magalong will join us during the Q&A. He's chairing a meeting in Baguio now, but he will wrap up and join us via Zoom on the Q&A. And we have Mayor Mike Rama of Cebu City, who is also the president of the League of Cities. Joining us in the panel, we're going to have Sui Suarez of Aboitiz Power. And to close off for today, we'll have Veron Hitosis, Executive Director of the League of Cities. So that's going to be the lineup we have this afternoon. It promises to be an active and interesting session, full of good presentations. Okay, analytics, data science, and AI might be a foreign language to most of us. So we're here to learn today from the experts. But let's just get an idea of what the room is like. For this room, I'll ask a bunch of questions. Just give us a show of hands. But if you're in Zoom, you have a poll question you can answer, and we're going to see the results very quickly. So here's the first question. Just find out, where are you joining us from today? So you can see the poll questions. This is for the Zoom audience. Where are you joining us from today? NCR, National Capital Region, rest of Luzon, outside of Metro Manila, Visayas, and Mindanao. Okay, just a show of hands. I assume everybody here is from Metro Manila, with the exception of Mayor Mike and Donna, who are from Cebu and Baguio. But let's see what our Zoom audience looks like. Can we see the results? Okay, here we are. We are 43% Metro Manila, 33%, 1/3 rest of Luzon, 12% from Visayas, and 12% from Mindanao. Okay, let's just ask another question just to see how the room thinks. Are you familiar with how AI and data analytics can be used for cities? 3 simple answers, yes, no, or I don't know. This is again for the Zoom audience, which is the larger audience, by the way, than what's here in the room. So we've got audiences here at the Aboitiz Tech Space, and then the Zoom and Facebook audience, and then the any spillover audience we're going to have down at the ABS-CBN case room down on the ground floor here within the same building. So, okay, are you familiar? 50%. This is good news, Chris, for you. 50% say yes, they are familiar. 36% say no, they're not familiar. And 14% say they don't know. So I think people are going to be educated today. Okay. So let me begin with just a few administrative announcements. Okay, number one, this room is a very new type of space. It's designed for hybrid meetings, as you can see. So behind you and in front here, you'll see the Zoom audience. They can see us actually, the audience here, and you can also see those in the case room, or those in the case room can vice versa can also see here. Now, one thing I must warn you about this room when we walk through it first time is that Crystal knows this. It has extremely sensitive microphones hanging from the ceiling. Okay, so if you talk to your neighbors beside you, if you're making chismes, we can catch it. the audience will pick up, yeah. They can zoom on you, pa. Yeah, the camera can zoom. So be careful if you plan to talk. So also please keep your phones on silent mode, because we're going to hear it really ring, and we're going to hear the echo. If you have questions, you'll be given a chance to ask questions from the room and on both Facebook and Zoom. So you saw a safety warning, a safety announcement for those in the room. For those of you in your own place, be aware of your surroundings while the webinar is ongoing, in case you need to stop due to an emergency. Okay, now, after all the speakers have finished, we're going to open up the room for questions. And as I said, you can ask the questions from here. From your desks, we're going to pass around extra microphones. We'll pass around extra microphones in case they're needed. For those of you on Zoom or Facebook, you can type in your questions, and on the chat box or on the comments box, the staff will pick it up and we will get those questions answered. And finally, at the end, you will see a QR code pop up on the screens when you exit the Zoom room or you exit this room. Kindly answer the feedback questions so we get a little feedback from you on how we can improve the lab, the Liveable Cities lab. So let's get started with the first speaker, and I'm going to leave I'll follow the order, starting with an academic, and then we're going to go to the political side, the LGU side. So the first speaker is going to be Professor Chris, Dr. Chris Monterola. Chris is a distinguished professor and a data scientist, and he currently serves as the Aboitiz Chair in Data Science and head of the Aboitiz School of Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship here at AIM. He's had a decade of experience as a senior scientist and capability group manager at the Institute of High Performance Computing in A-Star, Singapore. Chris has worked on a lot of projects, but most recently, before coming back here to the Philippines and to AIM, he worked 6 years in Singapore on their Smart Nation project. And AIM worked very hard to get Chris to come back and teach us what he knows and see, how we can apply some of these lessons here in the Philippines. So we're really excited to have Chris back here in the Philippines. Tell us what AI, data science, and analytics can do for cities. So he's going to present how big data and science-accelerated creative solutions create intelligent cities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Dr. Christopher Monterola. Chris.
Thank you, Bill. Yes. Can you remove the share? Thank you. Thank you so much, Bill, to the Liveable Cities Lab, Mike Rama, and all our audience today. Again, what I will be doing today is to give a presentation about big data and artificial intelligence and how this can aid in smart policy design. So I will do this by answering the following questions. So I'm gonna give you a run through of what is the science of cities. So we will answer the following question. Why do we want to understand cities? Why data? Why do we want to use it now? What are the challenges in answering cities and understanding cities? Can city dynamics be predicted? And can we manage the complexity of cities? All the case studies that you will be seeing today, and also all the results that you will be seeing today, are a result of the work that our team have done here and in Singapore. And I'm happy that Mayor Mike Rama is here, because I know that the goal of Mike Rama, when he assumed the mayorship, is for Cebu to be like no other, second to none, be like Singapore. So I will be showing you some of the things that we've developed in Singapore, and later some of the projects that we've done in the city of Baguio and Kawayan, and what are the things that we can learn from using data and artificial intelligence. So why do we want to understand cities? And why is this especially important for Philippine cities? This is no rocket science. If you try to look at the plot of the total number of percentage of population going in cities as a function of time, it's super linear. So I'm plotting here percent of population versus year, and it's linear. By 2050, 70% of the world's population will be living in cities. And cities are known to be building blocks of the cultural revolution in economy. Industrialization, economic activity happens in cities. It has been shown that if you improve the quality of cities in a given province, for example, it has a very high positive effect on Human Development Index. Human Development Index means life expectancy. This has been measured since 1980, and very easy things to measure. Life expectancy, number of years that you've been educated, per capita income, or generally employment. And the general trend globally of HDI is increasing. In the Philippines, I crunched the data for our HDI, and since 1990 all the way to 2022, HDI is increasing. The Human Development Index is increasing. But what is alarming is that the inequality persists. If you look at, for example, the inequality in the 1990s, the height is like this. If you go all the way to 2020, that is almost the same height. And here are some numbers. Visayas region, the quality, average quality of regions in Visaya is like in the Visayas region is about 18 years compared to that of Metro Manila. In Mindanao, it's one generation, 23 years. And BARM, for example, or ARMM, it's not even equal to that of Manila 30 years ago. In fact, it is all lower than the national average 30 years ago. So cities related to HDI, and this is one of the challenges. And I crunched the data about the budget that we allot to different regions, and this is what I've seen. If we want to improve the Human Development Index, okay, the amount of HDI improvement in NCR is actually getting lower and lower. In the last 7 years, getting lower and lower. This is known as the law of diminishing returns. And I made a very simple simulation. What will happen if, for example, in the Mandanas ruling, we allot the budget proportional or inversely proportional to the Human Development Index? Using AI and some simulation, this is the result that I got. That you can, in fact, lower the inequality and not compromising so much the HDI of those coming from Metro Manila. But this will be for another topic. Now, but my point here is that understanding cities is very important. But the problem is understanding cities is not straightforward. Okay, and I will go into that in a while. But why data? Why do we want to do it now? Okay, because the problem is when opinion versus opinion, the voice of the mayor wins, typically. But with data versus opinion, maybe data will have a chance. And in a mature environment, in a mature society, with the digitally transformed company, typically a smart data will win over other data. And why do we want to understand this now? Ultimately, this is about people. Right now, because of the explosion of data, every 2 to 3 years, we increase the total number of data by about 9 to 10 times. If it's X now, 2 to 3 years from now, the total amount of data that we will have will be about 9 to 10 times. Because of this, we know how people are connected. We know very well how people interact with existing institutions. So you are seeing here, for example, people withdrawing at ATMs in Barcelona. You know where wealth is at any point in time. We know how people actually move. So you are seeing here the planes going inside and outside the airport in UK. And because of this, we have a better understanding of how diseases, gossip, and information propagate. If COVID-19 happened 15 years ago, the number of casualties will be 1,000 times compared to the casualties that we have now. But because we have a better control of information of the people's movement, we were able to reduce the total number of casualties. So we now have a better understanding of the nature of humans, something that is not possible 10 years ago. We have a lot of biases, thousands of them of biases. Okay, we judge people differently. But now by looking at data, we now have a better understanding of humans' daily needs, habits, aspirations, and struggles. So what are the challenges in understanding cities? One sentence. Cities are complex systems. What do I mean by cities being a complex system? They are highly interacting, composed of millions of interacting entities. They are interacting in a nonlinear manner. And as a result of their interaction, okay, there will come a point that there will be some sort of a self-organization or an emergent behavior. Meaning the whole is completely different from the sum of its parts. And unfortunately, this is something that cannot be captured by the models typically that we learn in school. No? That the whole is more than the sum of its parts, that the sum of the parts is not equivalent to systems behavior. It is in the constant state of non-equilibrium. Whereas in school, most of us were taught that, hey, to understand this, look at it at the equilibrium. And finally, this is the concept of emergence, self-organization. People learn and adapt. People form networks, not easily captured by equations, not easily captured by a simple mathematical equation. Now, let me just illustrate this through this work that was done by Erica. No? This is a very simple work, just to illustrate the idea of that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. If I will try to understand, for example, the traffic situation in Makati, in Pasig, and in the city of Taguig, and I look at them separately, use network science, look at the population of the different cities, my forecast is that this traffic will be here. These are the more intense region, that particular location, and that particular location. But in reality, actually, the traffic is here. And the reason for that is because I look at this separately. If I combine them together, you will see that, yes, indeed, okay, it is actually here. The interaction is very critical when you try to understand cities. Okay? And second, and this is very important, we usually, when we look at cities, we look at it in terms of averages. But averages has a very well-defined limitation. When you use average, for example, mean, okay, the idea is that it can be captured by the bell curve. And therefore, has a very defined variance. But in reality, the more ubiquitous, the more common distribution that you will see in cities is actually a power law. Pareto rule or 80-20 rule. Okay, those are the different terms dependent on whatever your background is. You use Pareto if you're an economist, power law if you're a scientist, a physicist, or Pareto, no, or maybe the 80-20 rules for layman, for general people. what is the meaning of this? If you look at the roads, 20% of the roads only 20% of the roads being used by 80% of the population. A school is defined only by 5% of its population, by 5% of students, 5% of the professors. A company is defined only by the 5%, top 5% of its products and all. This is known as the Pareto rule. Now, the problem is if you look at the averages every time you make a decision, okay, you will fail to capture the essence of that distribution. In a Pareto rule, the meaning of average doesn't make sense. It has no sense. And you cannot even talk about the idea of variance. Now, can then city dynamics be predicted? Can we predict then the city dynamics? Now, let me show you. So essentially what we want to understand is what are the constraints? Are there natural tendencies that in the growth and the development of cities, these natural tendencies are always obeyed? Okay. Now, this is a work that we've done trying to model the growth of the cities, the growth of the residential, business, in the industrial areas in Singapore. In this simulation, we only assume one thing, that it starts somewhere. So this is a single point somewhere along the CBD, and we use these following two quantitative rules. That is true for evolutionary biology. When the cities grow, one, it tries to spread itself so that it will be able to maximize resources, right? This is a general rule. And second, there is safety in numbers. Pieces form schools mainly because if they form schools, they will be able to protect themselves from predator, and at the same time, they will have a higher reproductive success. So that two rules is exactly the same thing that we use in this simulation here, and we were able to capture the following statistics. One, that most of the time, the industrial areas will cluster here, and the CBD areas, so in the CBD areas, you will have the residential and business mixing together. So you can see the actual map of Singapore there. We do many simulations on this particular component, and all the time, the industrial areas will come here. We check whether this is true in all cities in the world, and the results indicates that yes, it is. These are Northern American cities. It's quite robust. Again, the rule is very simple. Choose the center of mass of the CBD, use these two rules that I mentioned quantitatively, grow it, and you will be able to capture the general statistics of the cities. We try it in Kawayan City, we get the same thing. Now, what is significant about this is one, they are following natural tendencies. And second, okay, it also tells us that there exist stable sizes for businesses, for residential areas and industrial areas. No? In these areas, there is that for stable sizes. If we look at the sizes for residential, business, and industrial areas, you will see here that business areas is 1 order of magnitude in the average greater than residential areas. Industrial areas, 1 order of magnitude greater than the business areas. And these rules seem to be obeyed by almost all cities. Okay? Natural tendencies is very, very critical. If you will not follow this, like in China, there are many cities that are actually ghost towns because you don't follow the natural tendencies of people. And here in the Philippines, for example, this is a work done initially that we've done with the group of Ayala. We try to understand the growth of the different municipalities, about 1,577 of them. One thing that we realize is that the growth model that is being used to capture developed countries, cities in the developing countries will not work in the Philippines. This is known as radiation model. For example, the general idea in most of this model is that people will simply go to where the opportunity lies proportionally. That is known as radiation model. It was able to capture Singapore's movement, Northern American movement, Canadian, European cities movement, but not the Philippines. So in a recent article that we published, we demonstrate that, and this is census data, we will be able to capture this if we look at amenities rather than opportunities. Now, so it's a generalization of the so-called radiation model. But my point here is that we can actually capture the natural tendencies of people. Okay, I will be happy to discuss this to those who are actually interested. Christian Alice is actually at the back, Dr. Christian Alice. Now, the tip component. I think this is something that will excite Mayor Mike. Can we manage the complexity of cities? And in particular, I will be presenting shortly case studies on transportation, urban planning, energy, water, smart city, pandemic resilience, etc. in Singapore, in Kawayan, and in Baguio. No? So one of the most important issues in every cities, top 3, almost all the time, will be transportation. Top 3. In most developed countries, the top 1 is normally foreign immigrant, that we are stealing their jobs. No? But always in the top 3 will be transportation because this is a way of life. And you can see here, for example, the first component of this dashboard that we've created for the Ministry of Transport and Land Transport Authority is that you can analyze how long it will take you. This is a straightforward data science component, how long it will take you to go from one area to another area. And that is important because then you'll know those people who are actually compromised somehow. At the heart of this dashboard is a simulation, real-time and accurate simulation of the entire public transport system of Singapore. You know exactly how many people are going in one location, how many people are waiting in that location, where are the people going, how full will be the trains, how full will be the buses, and we make sure that we capture all the most important details in doing this simulation, including how fast a typical Singaporean will walk in terms of their demographics, and what are the things that they consider when they travel. And it's not the shortest path. It's not just the shortest path. So if you can capture in a mechanism-based way that particular component, you can play scenarios. For example, if I disrupt this particular area, I will see how this disruption will propagate through the entire cities. And some areas that is even 10 kilometers away and not even connected to this particular trailway will be impacted by that particular component. Again, complex systems, complexities. And then you can plan, okay? If this disruption will persist for more than 30 minutes, this is what will happen. So we need to do something. Where will I be deploying the buses, the trains, for example, if I want to solve this particular component? No? And we also model the bus, the trains, etc. I will just, because of the time limitation, let me just move this forward, because this is one of the most important components. At the end of the day, policymakers should understand the level of certainty of your model. How accurate is your model in forecasting? So this model was demonstrated to be very, very accurate when it comes to modeling Singapore's dynamics, and it's actually currently housed also in many of Fujitsu's technology. And these are the questions that you can answer if you have this type of system. For example, they ask us, Urban Redevelopment Authority and LTA ask us, what will happen if there will be 3 million commuters from 2 million commuters? They are priming people to use the public transport system. Their goal is by 2030, there will be no more car owners. But then, what will happen if we will not change this particular system? Our results indicates that exponentially, the number of missed trips, the duration of travel will increase significantly. And therefore, they need to plan on this particular component. Another thing, okay, they would like to minimize, for example, the those that are compromised during peak hours. They ask the question, what will happen if all of those who are traveling to Raffles City, where 75% of the jobs is in Singapore, what will happen if we free them if they travel earlier? And our results indicates that, yes, you can do this all the way to up to 20% of the population. So from 2 weeks, they extended it to 1 year of pre-travel if you come there at an earlier time, but you cannot go more than 20%. If it goes to 30% of the people actually using that particular route, the peak will just be shifted at an earlier area. So again, these are the things that you can measure. And interestingly, it's actually very predictable. The behavior of people is actually quite predictable. You are seeing here that the individuals who will be commuting for a given bus or a given train, And you can forecast exactly this curve, okay, by looking at the 500-meter radius, the amenities, okay, the schools, different locations within that radius. How many people will be taking this bus at this point in time? In fact, one of the things that we've seen here is the concept of familiar strangers, that there is a transient community during commuting, that if, for example, Ma'am Malu, I met Ma'am Malu today in the bus, there's a 90% chance that I will meet Ma'am Malu again, okay, within a week. So that there is that community, and they have to, that's an interesting component, no? The transient community. Quite romantic actually. And you can use it for planning. They ask us this question. If we want to create a twin cities, okay, how will this impact, okay, the transportation? And the answer is, we can give them an exact number within 55 to 60% of additional amenities. Okay, there will be an increased number of commuters, but eventually the total number of commuters will start to decline. If there's already a McDo in your neighborhood, McDonald's, you don't need to travel to go into that McDonald's. Okay, and all of these things, and maybe this is one of the challenges to the Liveable Cities Lab, were captured. They interviewed me and Erica, and they put all these learnings in this book. That is a required reading for public officers. Most recent technology. Okay, so 2 minutes is it okay? Okay. Hindi na siya naka-okay. So again, things that you can do, you can forecast temperature. Okay, what will happen if you put? You can forecast water level. 90% of our water level. This is a work that we've done with Manila Water. They can now forecast with good accuracy within a year what will be the water level of Angat Dam. If the water level is less than 180 meters and there's no rainfall, it can cause water shortage. But if it's higher than 200 meters, there's a lot of rainfall, it can cause flash floods, killing lives. So these things with AI and data science, you will be able to do this very accurately. They can do that within 2 weeks. We extend it within a month. And what is that within a year? And what is the difference between that? The difference is that you can do intervention. And finally, very quickly, let me just mention about these projects that we have with Mayor Magalong and Mayor D of Kawayan and Baguio. And these are both supported by DOST PRESERVE under the Smarter City Frameworks. Our goal here is to develop AI-powered decision support tools with visualization dashboard. So for those who are interested, if you can visit our Access Lab later, and our data scientists will be able to demo to you the dashboard that we've developed for this. And one of the most important goals is to develop a smart city index for cities in developing nation, looking at all these particular components. So just to give you a glimpse, for example, of the things that we can already measure immediately with our algorithms, we can give a number for the accessibility of all the residents in a particular city, okay, how far they are from the main road, healthcare accessibility, how far the people are from hospitals, robustness index, if there will be disruptions in the street, what is the chance, how robust will their travel be? And for example, if there is disaster, what will happen? You can see here that the Tacloban is very low, and that is why there is a problem when it was hit by this disaster. Connectivity index, which looks at relatively the speed that you have access to internet. And you can see here that Makati is twice greater than other cities, or the level of greenery. The recommended level is 25% in a city, or a value of 0.33. So Makati needs to improve on that particular component. So we develop a visualization dashboard like this one. So we deploy this for Kawayan. If you're interested, you can see this. Of course, this is a 35-minute video looking at both the dynamic and static indices. And let me just end by showing two very interesting use cases that we developed for Kawayan and Baguio. This is one problem. We are doing this project during the pandemic. They want to understand what will happen if we quarantine some part of the population. And our results indicates a very simple solution to their problem of making sure that the virus will not spread. Based on data science and AI, we predicted that if you simply close this particular bridge, Alikaucao Bridge, okay, the spreading of the virus can actually be lessened. Better than doing random quarantine protocols. Okay, and you can see that in this simulation. Or in Baguio, sometimes you don't need sophisticated AI to understand some of the concerns in Baguio. This is one of the sensors that we developed, water quality sensors. So during lunch, we mentioned to Mayor Magalong that, Mayor, how come when there's rainfall, the amount of impurities like measured by electrical conductivity increased significantly at these barangays? And Mayor Magalong was actually mad, saying that this is the problem with the residents there. They open their sewerage system when it rains to clean it, and that actually significantly will compromise the water quality in that particular area. So sometimes you don't need sophisticated AI, no, to understand these particular components. So I will stop in that with that presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Great presentation, and something I hope a lot of people remember. I think one of the things I like what Chris said, which is so true, is when you have the battle of opinion versus opinion, loudest voice wins. Mayor prevails in opinion versus opinion, or data versus opinion, and hopefully data will have a chance. And I think if more of us begin to appreciate the value of data, then over time, data will not only have a chance, but I think data will prevail over opinion. That's our goal, especially for cities, for city administrators, for mayors, and of course for residents and cities. So I think you can see the power of what analytics and data science and AI can do for cities. And I don't know if you were all particularly attentive, but in many of the examples, the tables and the charts that were shown here, did anyone take a look at the footnote and the authors? Because Chris's name is pretty well on every chart, at the bottom of each chart. So that means he's an author of these studies. So Chris, thanks a lot. And I'm happy to see that Baguio and Kawayan are working with you. And I really hope that we can get more cities to tap into this sort of thinking to improve the cities. And I think here earlier, we also had the Analytics Association of the Philippines back there. Yep. So I'm hoping that, people begin to go to professionals to plan. So having just listened to this presentation, maybe let me pop up 2 more poll questions before we get to our next speaker. I don't know if we've popped up the questions. Okay. The question is, this is primarily for the Zoom audience. This is primarily for the Zoom audience. Would you know if your city is presently using AI, data analytics, and technologies for city planning? It's a simple yes, no, or I don't know. Let me repeat that here. Would you know if your city is presently using AI, data analytics, and technologies for city planning? Yes, no, or I don't know. Okay, 33% say yes. 38% say no. So a lot of people. And 28% say I don't know. So no and I don't know is 2/3. Okay, 2/3. So there's a lot of room for improvement here. Okay, let me ask a final question. Do you foresee your city integrating AI and analytics for city planning in the next year, in the next 12 months? Okay, so this is again addressed to the Zoom audience. Do you foresee your city integrating AI and analytics for city planning in the next year? Yes, no, or I don't know. And the response? Okay, well, a little better news here, Chris. 56% say yes, they foresee cities moving into using these tools in the next year. And 28% say no. So a lot of work to do there. 16% say they don't know. So just a little over half say yes. Okay. So our next speaker actually represents a city which is using, in fact, data analytics and data science and AI to begin to analyze what they're doing in Baguio. And we had invited Mayor Benji Magalong to come and speak, but he had to chair a meeting in Baguio today, and actually for the next several weeks, the same meeting every Wednesday. So he could not make it down today, but he will join us for the Q&A. And Mayor Benji, I don't know if any of you know, but he was one of the biggest proponents among city mayors who started contact tracing during COVID. And I suppose maybe from that experience, he began to think through more and expand the use of data in Baguio into other fields of urban development and city management. So he's a strong advocate for analytics. So we're happy that he has asked architect Donna Tabangin, his city planning and sustainability officer, to come and present on his behalf and on Baguio's behalf. She's a licensed architect and environmental planner with 23 years of experience as a professor, and holds advanced certifications in geographic information systems, communications, and technology for disaster management, and technology for entrepreneurship. She now serves as the City Planning, Development, and Sustainability Coordinator, and she's going to speak to us today about Baguio's plans and its transformation to a smart city, or as we like to say here in Liveable Cities, to an intelligent city. So Donna, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Bill. And in behalf of Mayor Benjamin Magalong, I wish you a good afternoon. And with the first speaker, we have learned a lot already. And we are actually excited that Baguio would get to that level already. What I will be showing this afternoon are the initial stages of what towards that transformation to be a smart city. And I work with the city planning office, and we are actually updating our comprehensive land use plan. Now, we are concentrating on the development of the digital twin of the city, because of course, everything happens within a geographic space. So any analytics that would be undertaken in the future should be seen as happening on a spatial area. So what I will be presenting would be the active transformation of Baguio City to become a smart city, and the present as well as the future role of data analytics and artificial intelligence in the real-time management of city systems in order to achieve livability and sustainability. So we are actually indoctrinating our residents that to become a smart city, it's not just about technology. It is to attain livability by way of technology. A quick information on our city statistics. So we are a highly urbanized city. We have a nighttime and daytime population. We also have summer and holiday population. Nighttime, we are at 360,000 plus. At daytime, it doubles. During summer, during December, panagbenga, it quadruples. So from a minimum of 360,000 plus to a maximum of 1.2 million. And that adds to the complexity of our city. Dr. Monterola discussed complexity, and I'm going to carry it over. So this is a multifaceted role for the city. We are a summer capital. We are a center of education. We are a tourism destination. We are the center of trade and business in Northern Luzon. So that means that we indeed have a very complex system in our hands. And these different systems make up our city. Our digital transformation is about our deliberate answer to complexity management. We need to manage the city better. because in a study in 2019, we found out that we have exceeded the natural carrying capacity of the city. There are more people than the natural resources that support us. And we have to move fast. And that's through technological means. For Baguio City to support the move towards becoming smart and sustainable, we are putting together the building blocks of the Smart City platform, where information and communications technology, big data analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence will help us uncover urban patterns, trends, as well as correlations in order to guide our planning and decision making. We are developing the city's urban digital twin. You will see this later on. And it's actually the city's avatar. It's digital replica, because this is where all phenomenon happens. And this is what we need to measure and to understand. And I hope in the future, the simulation part, which is the most exciting, I believe. So this is a 3D representation of the city. For the requirement of an LGU in terms of land use plans, we just need to develop two-dimensional maps. But with smart cityhood, we need to do more. And that's the reason why we had developed this. The digital twin is the representation of the physical environment of Baguio, the entirety of the city, including its transport networks, buildings, and infrastructure, which will be connected to data gathering and sensing devices that are going to be installed within the central business district. And we hope that in the future, it will be throughout the city already. So the smart city building blocks, we hope that by completing both sides, the smart sustainable Baguio aim and the Baguio urban digital twin, we can put it together because they should be interconnected and they should be interoperable. At this stage, they are still separate. It's not with the smart city platform yet because we are developing it within our office for the meantime. But afterwards, once we complete it this year, we would be able to link it to the command center already. And that would be the base information, the base map, as they call it, for all analytics that would happen afterwards. So we have a framework that we are following right now, and it's composed of two elements, the core elements as well as the external elements. And we believe that for us to be able to see the success of our smart cityhood, we should have all the elements that are indicated here. The core elements are composed of data resources. To become a smart city that is data heavy, it's data centric. We need to have all the necessary data to perform our analytics. Machine learning is something that we're looking forward to. And we have sensing systems that have artificial intelligence embedded in it already. So after the core elements would be the external elements. This is actually the foundation, because without this, we wouldn't be even seeing the takeoff of smart cities in Baguio, smart city in Baguio City. Number one is data privacy. There are a lot of discussions because we're going to be collecting data, personal data from all our residents. Therefore, one of the major requirements is how well protected are their information. Next is we have to work with our legislators also, because we need ordinances, resolutions, and executive orders. Because we need to make sure that in the long term, we have the necessary strategy and mechanism. Stakeholder involvement is very important because all the people should know, all the residents of Baguio should know of this roadmap towards smart cityhood. So they should understand why we are doing this, because sometimes much of the discussion is about the cost. It is expensive. And they would always refer it back to social services. So the cost of putting in a smart city system would do much for social services. But we say that social services would be more, would be given better with our smart city technology. There should also be a lot of investments as well as public, private, and partnerships because of course we need more funding. And we are discussing with other stakeholders, the universities, for example, that maybe it's high time that they come in also and develop business models along with us. AIM is with us. Next would be our quality assurance. We need to develop the standards for our smart city system. That's very important because, of course, when I said interoperable, then there should be standards that have to be put into place. And by doing all this, we hope that we would be attaining by 2030, that's several years from now, we would at least meet our goals for sustainability as well as ambition 2040. Next slide. So what you see in this slide is our command center. This is the Smart City Data Hub of Baguio. It presently has 6 use cases, and we are building more, and we are being helped by AIM on this one. We have video monitoring and surveillance, 911 calling, air monitoring, water monitoring, flood early warning system, and traffic and mobility monitoring. Video monitoring and surveillance employs monitoring and viewing using high-end artificial intelligence-enabled CCTVs. And our 911 emergency calling is also on a 24/7 shifting mode, and all information are relayed to concerned authorities. So that's our video monitoring and surveillance system, the 911 emergency calling, and air monitoring as well as water monitoring is currently under development. And I believe the transportation modeling as well with AIM, UP, and the local government. This is what we call the Project Minerva. So the flood early warning systems employs monitoring stations, and these are located in the different rivers in the city. Dr. Monterolo showed you the map. I would also like to share this information that when it rains, the pH level increases also. That means that it brings down the pollutants in the air. So they told us that in the first 5 minutes of rain, we should stay inside, not to go out. So those are the information that we are gathering right now. And you can see that it affects our way of life. It changes our habits. So for the next slide, I would like to introduce, but I think that all cities are doing this. There's a law that says that all cities and municipalities should conduct their CBMS, or the community-based monitoring system, or popularly known as CBMS. This is a technology-based census. Baguio decided to do this digitally because there's an option to use paper and pen for this census, but we opted for digital census, and we collected a compendium of data. 18 sections, as you can see. This is a very big census, and it took one household 3 hours to answer all the questions. 3 hours, yes, but we now have a gold mine of data which we can work with. We are going into data mining. Next. So the digital twin, which you will see in the next slide, we have these goals, the features of this twin, as well as its vision. So this is to solve the complexity, because of course, everything happens one on top of each other on a geographic space. We need to parcel out the information. So ang sabi nga po nila, hindi kaya ng human mind na to understand complexity. So we layer it so that we can work with it. So we would also be able to establish a simultaneous operation and interaction between what's happening on ground, the physical space, and the digital dimensions of the city. Kaya po twin siya. And the features would be, we have now an accurate map of the city. We are building the city in digital space. And for the next step, we would be using analytics, because of course the goal for urban planning is we would be able to predict what could be the impact of the PPPs, or the programs and projects that we implement. We are also looking towards virtual real interaction and intelligent intervention with the artificial intelligence. So basically, our vision is more intensive and efficient urban production and operation, livable and convenient urban living spaces. That's the end goal, really. And of course, sustainable urban ecological environment. Next slide. So this is our digital twin in 2 dimensions. All the gray blocks that you see there are buildings. The blue area at the center is the Burnham Lake. With this exercise, we were able to find out that currently there are 110,000 buildings, big and small, all over the city. And one thing also is that we found out that only 80% of our buildings have a building permit. Now there's an issue on safety. And since we know where they are, we're actually going house to house, telling them that they need to apply for a building permit, because considering that we are a high-risk city when it comes to disasters, we need to make sure that 80% of the 110,000 are safe. Yes, yes, po. And the next slide, we go to disaster management. The coral-colored areas there are sinkholes. So you can see here the actual location as well as the width and size of the sinkhole. Those which we turned yellow are residences. It's a subdivision. And you can see that they are on top of a sinkhole. With CBMS, we would know exactly how many men, women, PWDs, seniors, children who are living in these homes. We know their economic characteristics because we are building our housing projects already, because the goal is to move them out of these high-risk areas, put them in safer housing sites, and for the city to get this back and make it an open green space. That is the goal. But you can see that as we add data on top of this map, we get more information, and hopefully we would be able to do simulations also on how the movement of our people happen in the city. Next. And this is my last slide. This is the Central Business District, and of course, we know the Google map. But with the digital twin, what we have done so far is to plot the zoning of Baguio. So red here are the commercial zones, green would be the parks, and blue would be the institutional areas. Yellow are our residential areas. We have modeled the structures that are present in this area, and you can see that they also already have a height. And the height of the buildings are true to scale according to the number of stories. And what is the goal here? We want to measure densities, because with risk management, we need to know where most people are and how do we move them in case there would be a disaster. And the other thing is, on the other hand, we are also mapping the heritage parts of our Central Business District. Because of our American heritage, we have a lot of Art Deco buildings in the city. And we're developing a route, an Art Deco route for the city. And it will happen also on digital space, so that people who would like to know where are these routes can also watch it on virtually, on virtual space. And this is my last slide. Those are the things that we have developed so far for Baguio. And let me end with this maxim, that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Okay, now, I was a bit puzzled when you said only 80% of your structures had a building permit. Okay, but I'm willing to bet this is happening in many other cities. I'm sure you're not unique. That the older the cities, I think they probably did not do building permits in the early days. And the other thing that struck me is what you said, that the advice that stay indoors in the first 5 minutes of rainfall. Why? It's because while the rainfall is kind of cleaning the air, you want to stay away from the rain. Sort of a acid rain scenario, almost, right? So I got to remember that this is not the Baguio we remembered from our childhood. But anyway, interesting. That I'm happy to see that that Baguio is really making a big move. Our last speaker for the day is none other than Mayor Mike Rama. So Mayor Mike is the mayor of Cebu City and the national president of the League of Cities. He previously served as vice mayor and a councilor of Cebu City, and he served as the National League president at one time for all councilors. I forget, that must be tens of thousands of councilors across the country, 18,000 councilors. He was also the head of the Vice Mayor's League. So yeah, 1,600, that's all the cities and the municipalities. And today, of course, he's the president of the League of Cities, which is like the Association of Mayors, 148 mayors. No? So as head of LCP, the League, he vows to encourage and support members in nurturing technology advancement to become intelligent cities and initiate collaboration and sharing of best practices. Of course, he envisions Cebu City to lead the way as having a balance between urban development and ecological nurturing. As already mentioned, or as we discussed earlier with Chris and the mayor, one of his aspirations is really to make Cebu the Singapore of the Philippines. And so today he's going to speak to us about the digital transformation of Cebu City. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Mayor Mike Rama of Cebu City.
Thank you, Bill. Am I being heard? Okay, check.
Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon. As it being said, save the last for the best. But anyhow, let me go straight to where we are. This is a room for self-improvement. And I am being assigned a topic where artificial intelligence, analytics, bringing a part of it to make a city smart. But I always have said, I've been mayor for several terms. I said in America, that was somewhere early 2010. How will you make a smart city? Then I made a statement, elect a smart mayor. And isn't it logical? You elect somebody that may not be that smart, and what's going to happen? But anyhow, it's another topic. Bring me now to my slide. Wait for a while. I have a usual jingle, but I want you to all stand. Because my Miss Cebu, my wife Malu, will bring you to a dance. I'm not joking. Come on, and I will be joining the dancing. Beron, LCP, Iris, come forward. And you clap your hand, please. Donna, Tracy, Louis. Oh, come on.
New day begins for you and me. Come take my lead,
Beron.
I'll make you see a
Iris.
better version of Cebu City. Right here, right now, free and easy.
Come on.
Let us move into the future hand in hand. No one's ever gonna be left
Malu, my
behind.
wife,
Just
come on.
trust the command of Mayor Michael Rama. You gotta have a heart. Together we can make great things happen. A Singapore-like Cebu City. Let's help to make this dream come true and show to the world the true spirit of being Cebuanos. Hey, hey, magtinabangay kita, magbarangay at bayan, ihang voluntarismo. We have been through the test of time. This pandemic has hurt us, yet we still shine. With the help of the miraculous Señor Santo Niño, we remain sublime. Let us move into the future hand in hand. No one's ever gonna be left behind. Just trust the command of Mayor Michael Rama. Let's make a stand. Together we can make great things happen. A Singapore-like Cebu City. Let's help to make this dream come true and show to the world the true spirit of being Cebuanos. His vision's for a greater Cebu City. His quest is to shape our destiny. Someday we can say it's Mayor Mike and me. We did great to our beloved city.
You can take your seat now. Finish the video. But anyway, having heard Donna bringing to the journey presented by Chris and the in-between, the interlude of Bilus, what is there for me to present? But somehow, I'm being invited. Thank you very much. AIM. My topic is digital transformation, journey of Cebu City. And I have been introduced. Go to the next slide. If you talk about now, it got to be yesterday. How it started, 1988. I've been councillor in 1992. Therefore, it was there already. And that is electronic data processing, division, bringing the coverage of digitalization, documents, start of centralized database. Next slide, please. There is an office called MEX, Management Information and Computer Services, 1989. I was not yet a councillor. And thus, it covers those aspects about computerized transaction, develop management information system, optimize computerization of offices. Next. There, I've been already 2 years as a councillor, and GIS came into existence. I don't have to explain about GIS. You knew it all too well. Next slide. The department has developed. Chris, we have all of that. It's just for reading. I don't have to be enumerating in the interest of time. Am I correct? Proceed. Awards received. Please focus on the awards, Bill, because as they have said, res ipsa locator, as a lawyer, that things speak for itself. And there's even a song. If a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you? That is the picture that will speak for itself. Next slide, please. Smart governance. As I said earlier, I'm not saying now, but using data analytics and artificial intelligence. It's there. You can read it unless you have some problem on your eyesight. I have read it yesterday, last night, bringing it to me so that if and when I will have to answer, I'll have to answer. Next item, please. Oh, that's me. Leadership, trust. But I can tell you what's leadership in an acronym. Would you want? L, you've got to be lively. E, effective. A, advanced, not advanced payment, advanced thinking, proactive. Then letter R, you've got to be reverent, God-fearing. And S, discipline, letter D, because my wife was like, discipline. E, efficiency. R, God-fearing, reverent. Then S, simplicity is beauty. And letter S, honesty. But the song goes, honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so. So you know it. And then letter I, integrity. Honesty, letter I, simplicity, then I, integrity. P, persevering. You've got to have that if you run a city and make it smart. Singapore like Cebu City. It's not Cebu City like Singapore. It's only Singapore like. Okay? 8 key areas of sustainability. Establish a smart governance system that would address that particular areas. And these areas are as follows. Stabilize public safety. Very important item. See, it brings you all of this. It's just for reading. Donna have aptly have enumerated it, and I am glad that you have in advance also brought in what I wish to talk about. And it's all there. Okay? Next, optimize healthcare. If you remember COVID, vaccination, if you do not have the data, you don't have the artificial intelligence, how can you be intelligently bringing and address the problem? And there are this aspect, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's for reading. And I think also in the so-called Zoom, they can see it. Okay? So I do not have to be one by one because it's all self-explanatory. Next, bridge education. If education is expensive, try ignorance. Therefore, the need to have that addressed because nowadays, formal is no longer formal education. Much has been converted to certain level because of technology, because of information and data. And therefore, there is a need for student tracking, need for industry tracking, skills competitiveness tracking, intervention advisory. You know, now, so many graduate, but the problem is their employment. I don't want to favor that issue. Next, enhance infrastructure. It's there. Communication, ubiquitous, demand and supply, geographic analysis, smart traffic management, highway and the road network analysis, business data availability. These are all very important factors and you must enhance it. Next, sustain environment. If you have the environment present, but if you destroy the environment, but in the city of Cebu, we are pursuing really to address that concern, Bill. Otherwise, humanity will be under extinction. Resource tracking and monitoring, environment dashboard, environmental impact projection, environmental management system. Next, organize social services. It's very important because if you're going to be re-elected again, you've got to think about the bottom, not you dictating, but matters has to be bottoms up intervention management system that hits the heart of the unimaginable poor, inventory of optimization, beneficiary management system, so that yung pera, yung usual problema, dole out, even ghosts are being paid. Even dead people are being paid. But with data, analytics, and all of this, you will already be too sure that your money will not be wasted. Then the last, service and outcome dashboard. You put in what is the outcome so that you will be properly guided. Next, in the area, again, on 8 key aspects of sustainability, you have to think about dynamism because Bill will have to grade you on competitiveness. If you are not dynamic, forget about being a smart city. You can never be competitive. And then you bring the whole city, virtualize, tech ecosystem development, business environment dashboard, infrastructure appropriation. Again, all reading matter. Next, this is very important, smart-defined governance. You have to be into this governance dashboard. Citizens health monitoring, fleet transportation management. We're into now on the Cebu bus rapid transport, first one in the country. Fiscal efficiency and effectivity dashboard. You would know what's going on, what's up, how much, etc. Citizens competitiveness monitor, manpower pooling, checking on what is the situation of your educational attainment, and etc. within your citizenry. The most important thing is resource management. If you don't have any people, even if you have the best system, who will manage? You've got to have that data, that portal that bring you to resource management. I'm a manager, personnel and corporate, and precisely I've always been giving meaning to the power of human resource. Next, strategy. Of course, earlier was more on sustainability. This time, strategy and phases of development. And by the way, I have my ITD-ICT in the portal, and that is Dante Arcilia. It's been with me, put all these things. We've been together way back. And of course, when I was asked by Bill, I have to tell my computer engineering, bring me this whole thing, or I will be presenting, and I will aim at AIM. And ladies and gentlemen, number one, we've got to standardize and certification of data management, ISO for that matter. Second, utilization of cloud technology for data integration. Third, utilization of data analysis tools, utilization of the Internet of Things and smart inputs, utilization of learning system and artificial intelligence. And I believe next. What's next? Lana? Next slide, please. And that explains one by one what's in the standardization security storage. That's it. You can see about certification of data center, integration of database, migrate to cloud-based operation, fully online, near 100 system reliability, deployment containerized system services, establish of data measurement mechanism, ecosystem development. First, technology, etc., startup, etc., directory of all tech stakeholders, private sector-led front-end solution development, data analytics, formation of data lake and analysis, data points for each area, deployment of integrated communication, infrastructure, intelligence governance, formulation and rollout of agile program, real-time virtualization of Cebu City. And we are almost ending. Next. Before saying thank you, of course, I would like to bring to you that I've always been passionate and guided with some, what I call, reminders. And Henry Ford have said, coming together is the beginning. When you talk about intelligence, analytics, it's not the beginning. In fact, when I came in as a counselor, I went through studying despite age barrier. Because I don't want to be, and this was 1990s, 2 hours studying computer. Second, of course, keeping together is progress. Aim, please be in Cebu City. We have to keep together and working together. As Henry Ford would result to success. As my branding, when I became mayor in 2010, coming together, and that's what I said, and then ending together, we can make greater things happen. Singapore-like, Cebu City, in God we trust, Senior Santo Niño of mercy on us, all saints pray for us. I end my presentation. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mike. As always, very lively and inspirational. So, Professor Chris, I think you better mobilize your AIM alumni to prepare to work with Mayor because he's got big plans for the city. Okay, we'll now prepare for our panel discussion. While they're moving out the chairs here, let me just remind everybody, we're going to take questions on the floor here in AIM. Those in Zoom, I'm getting questions, but we're happy to get more questions. You may ask them if you wish, or you can type them into the Q&A box. And on Facebook, you can type it into the comments box, and we'll get them. I'm already getting some questions here from the staff. So let's put out. Okay, give me a couple minutes. Give us a few minutes, and we're gonna organize the chairs. And then I'll invite Mayor Mike and Chris and Donna to join us up front. Yeah, I have it here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, please. Okay, Sui, you'd like to sit here, and Mayor, maybe you can be in the center here, Mayor. Chris, beside the Mayor, and I'll be right here. Okay. Okay, we've listened to all the presentations, and now it's an opportunity for all of you to ask your questions. Let me open up the floor in case someone here might want to ask the first question. You can actually ask it from wherever you're seated. And if the microphones are not strong enough, we'll get a microphone to you. So Ida, you get the first question. Ida, please, go ahead. Wait, let's pass the microphone, Ida. Maybe it's not picking up your...
Mike, please. Can you try that again, Ida?
Testing, right. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, go ahead,
All right.
Ida.
Yes. This is addressed to the couple of cities here, Mayor of Cebu and Representative of Baguio. How do you see the digital city in about 5 years' time? You kind of mentioned digital twin, but it seems like it's in a 2D format or a top view format. How do you see, how should I say this? Mayor Binay did mention that Makati is about to use metaverse. So the digital twin is going to be in the metaverse space, and that's going to be good for those ones purchasing properties or finding out locations and that sort of thing. Do you foresee your city having or being in the metaverse space, and that will be your digital twin?
Donna, would you like to take that?
Yes, thank you for your question. The digital twin is a 3D representation of the city. In fact, with data, it will become 4D, and it's ready for virtual reality. So when we get to that higher level of simulation, we can do it virtually already. And if we have future projects, we can actually see it in virtual reality before we start implementing. So management of projects as well as analysis for future impacts becomes easier with the digital twin and virtual reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. How about Mayor Mike? Baka you'd like to answer that same question as well on the virtual space or a twin for the city.
In Baguio, they have that specific project on digital twin. But in the city of Cebu, the population we're talking about, hours, weekend, weekdays. When you look at the whole, or give you Cebu City, it's, for me, it's 1.5 million. And that definitely, when you talk about your program on digital twinning, was it twinning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would not be too difficult actually, because we already have our own GIS, and that enumerated all the things that we would like to pursue, and definitely all those concerns that can be captured to digital training will not be too difficult to engage into.
Okay, good, thank you.
Chris, how about you? How are you helping, let's say Baguio or Kawayan, let's say, set up those digital twins? What's the technology
Actually,
behind
last week, we have a discussion with AWS, one of their lead architect in that particular space is a Filipina who completed a PhD too. Hopefully we can get her eventually. But the idea of creating a 3D, 4D image that includes all the dynamism of a city can now be done quite fast. You just need a car actually roaming around, and then it can have it will be able to capture the buildings, all these dimensions, where are the trash cans, etc. And this will be the way to the future. And because the idea is, again, if you want to implement something, you would like to capture it, and at the same time have a buy-in from the citizen of what will happen if we impose this particular component. Sometimes you need to see it to believe. And it works very well, for example, in many advanced countries, like for example in Singapore or in Switzerland, where priming is very critical. You cannot impose immediately a policy, but if they've seen it, if they have a perspective about it, and this is the beauty of a virtual, of a digital city, if they can see it, this is what will happen, then it will be a very good thing. And the metaverse, Ida, is very interesting because in the metaverse, Mayor, you can extend, maybe some of the citizens will own some lots there that doesn't exist in the real world. But sometimes it is in the future, I expect, ito po yung my perspective, Bill, that in the future, we will be able to solve most of the problems that we're encountering now through technology, food, poverty, etc. But one thing that will remain will be entertainment. We want to be entertained. We want to fight for our happiness. And maybe in 20, 30 years' time, that particular concept, that particular idea of having a city, maybe several metaverse or several digital city will be something that will be very useful for, especially in the Philippines, where we have a lot of creatives.
Chris, you mentioned some challenges when we were talking earlier. And maybe we go back to your Singapore experience, but your Baguio and your Kawayan experience. How difficult or easy was it to get the data? Because you have to start with data to begin with. So is that hard? Is that easy? Does it exist?
Let me start with Singapore. In Singapore, if you're elected as a minister, for example, or if you're a politician in general, you need to consult to scientists. That's a given. Because if you should be able to give the best possible outcome if you're given a task, you're given a target. And you can mention that you should have consulted a scientist. And if I fail, it's because this is the one that is provided to me. So the ministers, the politicians, they naturally go to scientists to consult. So getting that data is not difficult for us. And in fact, they've been doing that. They as early as 2016, they already have a 4D, they call it virtual Singapore. They already have a 4D mapping of Singapore. In the Philippines, okay, I believe that the most important and the most critical component has always been success stories, that you must be able to demonstrate it. That's why when we went back to the Philippines about 5-6 years ago, we did not go into traffic immediately because we know how difficult it is to work on traffic. So we work with projects where we can demonstrate success stories and work with those with very good brands. For example, Ayala. We work with Ayala immediately with some of the biggest banks, etc., to demonstrate successful stories. And the reason why we've chosen, for example, Baguio and Kawayan is because we know that it's very stable politically. Kawayan initially, because Mayor D don't have a competition, didn't compete with any other mayor for 9 terms, 3 terms, essentially 9 years. And yeah, he understands the technology, etc. And with the city of Baguio, it's a natural complement to Kawayan because most of the things that we would like to include in our smart city is actually not present in Baguio. And I don't know Mayor Mike Ramadan. So Mayor Magalong is a good choice because we want to incorporate in our smart city index tourism, because this is one particular component that if we will be able to include in the smart city index, then we can make a difference in the country. And so far, very supportive. Now we've worked with very supportive individuals, and that is probably why we can now present this. And hopefully to those mayors who are watching the Liveable Cities Lab right now, this is what we can do. These are the things that we can do. And yeah, hopefully we will be able to spread this particular culture on data science and AI.
Chris, while we have you on the mic, there's a question that's related to this topic that you're carrying on at the moment. You said that political stability, the natural fit of certain solutions. There's a question from Raymar Hijaga. He says that what are the key challenges in implementing data-driven solutions in intelligent cities, and how can they be addressed? So for example, you already went on to say that political stability, natural fit for certain solutions. Can you expound some more, perhaps answer Raymar's question?
The first and most important components always to understand what are the problems that you'd like to solve. And then what are the data that you need to be able to solve that? Now, that's why in Kawayan, in Baguio City, we love the partnership with Baguio City, for example, because even before us coming to Baguio, they've been putting sensors all around Baguio. And that is very important. But this is where my optimism comes in. It has been shown in China, that one of the more critical drivers of naturally getting this data is having cashless transaction, because the movement of wealth, etc. And in recent years, the total number of cashless transactions in the Philippines have increased tremendously by 1,000 times. So my hope is that this particular information, together with the presence of the national ID, will make it easier for us to actually work more closely with various cities in coming up with data-driven solutions and decision support tools.
Okay, and while you're at it, another question from the audience. It doesn't say who it's from, but it says that it's great to understand how complex cities are created, and curiously, how are these models created or software used for the simulations?
Most of our simulation starts through prototyping using this language known as Python.
Okay,
but
Python.
eventually, we have to talk to a developer to make sure that it's real time. So maganon po yung process nun. So there is someone who will develop the prototype, and then eventually the deployment will be a different animal. But I would like to emphasize this, Mayor. This is important. There's a survey that I've seen recently showing that for the first time, I don't know if this has been done previously sa mga surveys, science is now the most trusted in terms of trust, most trusted na component ng mga Pilipinos, ahead of Catholic Church and UP. Dati yun yung dalawang top UP Community and Catholic Church. Bumagsak, mas mataas na yung science, And therefore, it actually can, doing data science and AI, it is actually a sensible political propaganda to a good extent. I'm saying this because I think it's important to note that is the case. You can say that, hey, I love science, I love data, I'm a frustrated scientist. That can actually work, okay, for you to improve on your branding. Statement lang po kasi marami tayo politician na nanonood.
Thank you, Chris. Perhaps we can ask you as well, Donna, on that same question. You said that there's a digital twin for the city. It has various components, di ba? How was that put together, no? It was through AIM and UP, I believe.
The digital twin is from our office, so it's native to the city.
Oh, it was
So we
made
developed
in-house
it
by
yes.
the city. Okay, cool.
Yes. So it's true what Dr. Montero said, that science is unbiased, and people believe that. So it's best that when we go around the barangays in Baguio, that we present to them the honest to goodness truth of what their barangay state is already. Because only from there would they understand that they need to come together with the LGU to solve the problems that they have there. So it's very important for us to come through that we are not political. Sorry, sir. We are political because politics is decision making of all. But it's not that we are elected people, that we have to twist data to suit the audience that we have. What you get, what you see is what you get. That's what we do.
Good.
And I think it's a change in the way that people in Baguio understand the realities there also. So I believe that the people in Baguio are thinking people.
Okay, thank you. Naalala ko tuloy, and Bill might recall this. We used to work with Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Global Mayor's Challenge, and they said that in God we trust, but everybody else bring data, right? So,
I remember, in God we trust, everyone else bring data.
Yeah. This next question is for Mayor Mike. No? So you mentioned a lot about all the improvements about the city's tech journey, since 1989. So the question here from the audience says that what are the timeframes or the different phases of development for the technological evolution of Cebu City?
Is it online? Okay.
You were viewing my slide. It presented the brief history. Then it went and it transcended, and it even went to so much e-governance. And all those awards that I have put to the picture will only mean that we are not stopping. We are continuously, and as a mayor of the city of Cebu, believing the importance of artificial intelligence and the analytics. It has to be much supported, and we are going towards and even engaging into best practice, continuing education, sharing. And with that, I have heard Donna, it has to be, as I said in my illustration, bottoms up. It cannot be imposition. So we cannot. It has to be from the household level and information, education, communication, and everybody being a part of it. And at the end of the day, a way of life. It has to be a way of life before we think about in the consummation of Singapore-like, not Cebu City like Singapore, Singapore-like Cebu City. And no matter what, artificial intelligence, analytics, and all those programs should be put in place. And we are going towards that very seriously, continuously.
Thank you, Mayor. I think,
wait,
yes.
Sui, let me go to Mayor Benji. Mayor Benji,
Mayor
good
Benji's
afternoon.
here. Cool.
Hi, sir, Bill.
Hi, good afternoon,
Hello,
Mayor
everyone.
Benji. Thanks for
Yes,
joining us.
President Mike.
You should be here, but you're there.
I'm sorry, President Mike.
The power of
Apologies.
technology. Thank you. Can we zoom out and let's see? There we can see him here on this big screen. Yeah, Mayor Benji. Thank you for joining us. And we heard a great presentation from Donna. What you're doing in Baguio. No, I was just curious. What drove you to get started on your journey to make Baguio this type of a city? What was the moment that some light bulb went off in your head that said, let's go this way and let's become a smart city. Let's call up AIM. Let's call up Chris. Let's get help. And I know you went to other companies to help you. How did you get started on this journey?
Well, Sir Bill, what happened was that when we found out that there was a study by NEDA with regards to our urban carrying capacity, stating therein that we have a huge problem on our environment. In fact, the study shows that urban decay was already happening in the city of Baguio as early as the 1990s. Then when I asked our department heads, do we have data? And then when they provided me all this data, most of the data are outdated. And if they're outdated, they're no longer relevant. So when I asked them, can you provide me this data in a matter of, let us say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they said that, Mayor, we cannot. It will take us about another 6 months and 1 year to get all this data. So what would be the best approach now? And so when I visited Guangzhou to attend the Smart City Summit, I realized that I have the solution, but the big problem here is the funding. So what I did was to approach, when I got back, I approached the president. And right there and then, when we were discussing the drug situation in the country, and during that meeting, we were also discussing the involvement of one of the high-ranking officials of the Philippine National Police who was involved in drugs. After that meeting, he asked me, do we still have any problem? And then I shared with him my experience with regards to my visit in Guangzhou. And when he asked me how much would it entail, I said 200 million. And right there and then he said, okay, I'll produce the 200 million. And after 3 weeks, here comes Senator Bongo on a chopper, handing over to me the 200 million check. And then we immediately embark on the Smart City. And you know what?
Amazing.
What is important here is on a daily basis, you will be able to gather all this data. And with all this data gathered, and if you have all this sufficient data, you will be able to determine what type of solutions. Everything should be, all strategic solutions should be, I would say, science-based, data-driven. Like, for example, traffic. What happened was that last month, we were able to put up a proof of concept on how to, or smart mobility transportation system. And on a daily basis, we were able to gather data. And surprisingly, we found out that one of our places, a site wherein we have this huge problem on congestion, we found out there's something wrong with the configuration of our islands, road islands. And we found out that with just a slight tweak, a slight modification of those islands, we will be able to solve this. And once again, it takes a lot of data. It takes a lot sufficient data. Everything should be data-driven, as I've said. And that's the reason why we are more motivated, we're more inspired to really embark on the Smart City. And hopefully in the next 5 years, it will be a long journey for us. It will be expensive, but it's worth it.
I have a question for both Mayor Benji and Mayor Mike. No? I mean, so you went into your projects basically on your own, right? On your own. You made a decision for your city and you said, I'm going to do it. Was DILG, DICT, the national government, DBM, were any of them involved to say, okay, we're going to help you, and we're going to budget for this, and do we have a national program? I mean, other countries in ASEAN, they actually have almost cabinet level departments for smart cities, for creating intelligent cities. The Philippines does not. We know this because we did the study 2 years ago. So in your case, you did it. Are you getting help?
Benji, I've been in government for 31 years. And definitely, you've got just to steer the people, move the people, make the people from household to believe in themselves, and did what I call convergence gathering, bringing the best of what their desires. And at the end of the day, Bill, private sector has to be top. And if you're asking me, Benji been to Cebu City, You've seen the third bridge. That's 32 billion. It improved the transportation, but the money is not from the national government. It is being put in place by Manny Velez Pangilinan. Now we have this time our transportation, which has been newly inaugurated, the BRT. This is a national funded, but been so long, now it's moving. What BBM, I'm very happy, Benji, that DSUD, Human Settlement with Jerry, and the president just inaugurated our medium and high rise. That the human settlement have assured us 30,000 units. And that is about 32 billion. So it doesn't have to be taken from the coffer of the city government. In other words, you just have to get involved all. And now we have a president that is responsive. We have other agencies that has to be likewise being responsive. And the ICT should be also a part of it. And the private sector like AIM. Now that I have been hearing Benji, my executive vice president of the Secretary General of the League of Cities of the Philippines, then you have to go down to Cebu City. Yeah, no, I'm not joking. We really mean business. It's not about winning, not about losing, but doing what is right. If it is not now, when? If we've got to do it, and if it's not us, who will? Leaving a legacy is what is left to us. For the children's children to emulate and perhaps thank us that we paved the way. And that is Christopher, hit Cebu City, and Sui, and Benji. We continue our best practice sharing. You are my big brother, and I am also your big brother. You know, I rode the Philippine Airlines maiden flight Cebu City to Baguio, Baguio to Cebu City, because of my friendship with a very clear, dynamic mayor of Baguio. Benji, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mayor Mike. On my part, Bill, in fairness to the Department of Science and Technology and with the ICT, we never approached them. And besides, nobody have embarked on smart city. It's something new, and I thought probably Baguio can pioneer it. You know, in fact, we still don't have a roadmap. I don't think national government has a roadmap on smart city. Doesn't have a defined building block for smart city. So I said, let's be a pioneer city on smart city, and it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of political will to do it. It takes a lot of guts to approach the president and ask for 200 million. But Bill, when we started working on it, and Australia, for example, found out that there is a city in a third world country that's embarking on smart city platform. Immediately, Australia, through the Asian Development Bank, gave us a grant of $660,000 for us to be able to put up a flood water mitigation warning and information system. And so it was a surprise to us, and we found out that there are other companies, organizations, and countries as well who are willing to share their own system to be integrated in our smart city platform. By the way, I just would like to inform you, Bill, that our smart city platform is using Cisco technology. Everything there is Cisco. It's a single platform, and basically it's an open platform, open system rather, that allows different types of systems that can be integrated, like for example, health, in environment. That's why we label this as smart economy, smart health, smart mobility and transportation system. You can actually integrate all of these. Smart agriculture, smart social services, And what we intend to do is create smart people and hopefully smart Baguio people.
Thank you, Mayor.
I said, elect a smart mayor. And it will radiate bottoms up, and with you around, it's just a matter of time. Baguio will not only be a smart city, it is being loved by God because you took care of the environment.
That's one thing, you know, Bill, that's one thing about President Mike. I call him President Mike because he's the president of the League of Cities. He's like a big brother to me. I consider him a big brother.
Everybody's big brother. Yeah. We're running out of time here. There's so many questions. I'll ask Ida. You ask one question. I'm going to ask the last question here. Go ahead, Ida. For Cebu, let's pass the microphone.
That's me.
Yeah, this is for Cebu. Cebu made the first intelligent bridge. It's the Cordova bridge.
That's my project.
It is. It's a fantastic project, and I think
You describe it as what?
The first intelligent bridge.
That's right.
And that's because it has, I wrote it down here, improved RFID. It's got a weigh in motion sensors that detects overload vehicles, and it does an IP-based detection cameras, CCTVs that covers the traffic on the entire bridge. That's done in collaboration. I think that's with, is it a Metro Pacific group?
Yeah,
I think.
MPIC.
Yeah.
MPIC, right. Metro Pacific.
To talk about collaboration, sharing information, what other plans do you have in Cebu to wish to replicate similar projects such as this Cordova Link Expressway?
As I said, when I was the mayor, I conceived that project. And there was mockery as far as my idea. Why come up with a bridge that the longest bridge actually in the whole country? You might be having a nightmare on maritime incident. Another thing that I've also been asking MVP is another bridge that will connect Benji from Lapu-Lapu, which I discussed with Mayor Jonah Chan, and hitting Mango Avenue. And another bridge, which I would like to bring to address the problem with environment. Our street in the mountain, never-ending repair. I can just imagine the wasted 9 major civil works done by DPWH. So what did I have to think about? Innovation. Then we would like to bring what I call a hanging bridge, so that you don't have to have all the trucks utilizing an eroded, wrongly analyzed soil. Because until now, from the time it was being built, I can imagine how much billions of wastage. Then we can probably have to build another bridge. And then, of course, we have and all of this artificial intelligence, et cetera, because we want to address the social concern. And that's why I thank the president and many other issues where we want to be continuously, so that Bill will give us an award in the days to come. I was an awardee before. I was the mayor, and Cebu City, without much help from the national, we ended up number 3. And we ended up number 2 in infrastructure. How did it happen? I said, we keep on looking at manna from heaven, it will not come. But bring the gold coming from every backyard. Human resource, PPP, corporate social responsibility, then magic will come. And that's how I believe I will give the political will. Benji has a political will. Then forget about election. What we should be worried is damnation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Let me ask the last question. So, Chris, I think your presentation opened up a lot of eyes. And so I have a question here that coming in from Zoom. How can LGUs reach out to AIM, to you, to provide assistance in terms of transitioning to an intelligent city? Is this a PPP initiative?
Oh yes, definitely. That has always been the goal. We want to duplicate this. We want to scale this up. Again, as I've shown in my slide, HDI, Human Development Index, inequality, they are, if we want to improve on that particular component, they are driven by the dynamics of cities. So this is a big initiative from our end. You can just email me directly and I will be happy to discuss this with the concerned individuals, definitely. More than happy, yes. And I can rally even the industries or the entrepreneurs in your area to help in that initiative.
Okay, so as we close, maybe let's post up Chris's email address on the screen and on Zoom so people can write Chris.
simontarola@aim.edu.
Okay, and let me just also add one suggestion here. Now I'll make a shameless plug, but I think it's going to help. There are only so many data scientists and AI experts in the country. That's a finite number. And I think one thing I learned today is what Chris pointed out, that the public now is beginning to trust scientists more than the Catholic Church, more than UP. I think much higher than the politicians, I'm sure. So I think it's a good sign that the public is trusting scientists, but which also means I think we need to train more scientists. And I think one thing the cities can do is follow what the national government does, which is give scholarships for your people to take graduate school, okay, in data science. AIM, of course, is a big data science program, master's and PhD. And in exchange for giving them a scholarship, your people, to take graduate school, sign up a service contract that for every year of graduate school that they serve here, they serve X number of years in your city. So now you build up the human resource of your city, right? So I think there's a practical solution to help the city and help expand the number. What do you think, Chris?
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, Mayor Magalong's team sent their staff, Francis, in our MS Data Science program. And one of the goal of that is eventually for him to actually take care of the technology that we develop for Baguio. And yes, again, AIM is a not-for-profit organization. You know that very well, Bill, because he's in our board of trustees. And the goal here definitely is to be a game changer, especially in this particular field, in data science and AI. But we cannot do it alone. That's why I'm happy that Michelle is here, Analytic Association of the Philippines. We need really to produce a lot of data scientists, AI. And again, let me re-emphasize the findings that, and this is a survey that I've seen. I'm not sure if actually they've been asking this question in the previous surveys, but to me that's an interesting fact now, that people of the Philippines especially trust science, and it can be a winning formula also for those who would like to seek a political post.
Great. Okay, with that, I think we have to close off the Q&A because Sui, we're going to run out of time here, and we're going to go over time. But let me first of all thank the panel for speaking today and for joining the panel. Mayor Benji, thank you so much for joining us from Baguio City. And let me now invite Veron Hitosis, the Executive Director of the League of Cities, to give us the closing remarks. Veron, would you like to come down here? Sure. Does Veron have a microphone?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thank you to our panelists. So I just have to do my job and thank my bosses, Mayor Benji Magalong. Thank you, sir. And of course, our president, Mayor Mike Rama. So just like Sir Chris, when I came here, I have a question to answer to myself. My question is, can you put a heart in AI and data analytics? And listening to the presentation of Mayor Mike, Architect Donna, and Mayor Benji, I think you can. apart from the romance in the bus schedule that you shared earlier. So I think because you can use public service, and that's how to put a heart on data analytics, which is not as sexy as we hope for, no? Just like my vitals, but I think we can see how that can be managed. So again, thank you for inviting the League of Cities, our bosses. And we're trying to get the cities, President Mike, we're trying to get the cities dialed in online. Unfortunately, we can't do it, but we got word that a lot of those in Zoom are members of the League of Cities of the Philippines. So also I'd like to thank our speakers for sharing their time. Sir Sui, Shell, blah, blah, blah. And then now, Aboitiz, congratulations. So it's good that we still have you. And I think with also, it's discomforting that when Lazada texts you about your next order, you have notifications. O tumatawa si ma'am, maraming may Lazada app dito, no? It's scary because they kind of know what you want. And you want to ask yourself, in public service, that's also what you want. You want your mayors to know what type of services you want to receive, at what pace, at what time. And if it will improve public service delivery, of course, we're all for AI. So I will not try to summarize everything that they have shared, but I think cities are confronted with so many issues, rapid urbanization, just like what Sir Chris mentioned. But I think with Mayor Mike, President Mike, and Mayor Benji in the fold, just like what President Mike said, it's just a matter of time where we can have the rest of 148 cities following suit. And even if cities are not similarly situated. So maybe we can do a Lazada governance model later on as we improve this data analytics, and maybe a clone, Sir Chris, as an action point, the to 148 cities helping us. And again, I just want to do my job, and Mi-chan told me to say that for everyone who's dialed in, and those who are here in the conference area, there's a QR code that they can scan, just so you can give us your honest opinion how the conversations came about. And also would like to thank our partners. I don't want to miss this, so bear with me. Engineer Donna, Dr. Christopher Mantarola, President Mike, Mayor Benji, for giving their time, and also our partners, Globe Telecom, and of course the team of Sir Bill, Liveable Cities, and Asian Institute of Management for gathering us all today. So for those who are here, there's snacks waiting for us at the Fuller House, so please enjoy. So thank you again, and good afternoon, everyone.
Is that a photo first? Where's they're on.